What's up everybody, David here, and today we're going to be talking about Cubase. Now, in my demo for the brand new Will Putney amp sim, some of you might have noticed that I was using Cubase in that video. And the reason for that is because Steinberg just had a massive sale on all of their software. So all versions of Cubase, including the full versions, upgrades, crossgrades, everything was 50% off as a 30th anniversary celebration. So I was demoing Cubase because it was so cheap. As a crossgrade price, it was $160 because I own Studio One Professional, and that is the cheapest I have ever seen it. So long story short, I demoed it for 30 days and I ended up buying it, even though I'm still waiting for my activation codes for them to verify Studio One, blah, blah, blah. That's kind of taken forever, but I'll get it eventually. But I guess that leads me to the question, or the answer rather, will I be switching to Cubase? And to answer that, I don't know. So when I switched from Sonar to Studio One, my final decision came down to two different choices. There was Studio One and there was Cubase, and I find myself at the exact same crossroads again. What I'm kind of finding out right now is that there's really not much I don't like about Studio One, but Cubase just offers more. It's no secret that Cubase is much more feature packed, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna use all that stuff. Long story short, I didn't feel like the 30 days was enough for me to make the decision, so I bought it for a few reasons. One, because it was so cheap. There's never been a better time to get into the Steinberg umbrella and to just buy into it now, because like I said, it was only $160. Two, because I feel like I need more time to use it. I don't think 30 days was enough. And I just want to learn as much as I can about the software, and I needed more than 30 days, so I just bought it. Three is that even if I don't switch to Cubase, I'm going to keep the DAW because I think it's going to be useful to have it around. Maybe I end up using a combination of both. Maybe I don't switch now, but I switch in a future version. I don't know. Maybe, I mean, it just happened recently. I had a project for a client that I needed to do, and I had to do it in Cubase. So that kind of helped me out having another DAW other than Studio One. And I think that it'll just be a good tool to have whether I'm switching to it full time or not. Now, as far as the things that are kind of drawing me to Cubase, one of them is the new vocal tuning update they just did. It's much more advanced than what comes in Melodyne inside of Studio One, which I know you could upgrade Melodyne, but I believe the upgrade cost is like $250 or like $300 or something. Whereas I just got Cubase, who has all that functionality built in for $160. So naturally, why would I upgrade Melodyne at that point? I really like the channel strip in Cubase because I find myself doing a lot of EQ cuts before I go into any plugins, and it would be cool just to have that on every single channel. I really like that. I like the waveforms a lot. The transient detection is fantastic on Cubase. The editing seems to be a bit more in-depth than it is in Studio One. I get all my editing done just fine in Studio One, but there's a lot of things like the key modifiers inside of Cubase that kind of make me think like I might be able to do things a little bit faster. It's a lot of little things I really like about Cubase, but there's also a lot of other things I don't like about Cubase. One being the workflow. I'm not trying to get into like a DAW argument here, but I honestly think Studio One is much faster and much easier, and it just gets in your way much less than Cubase does. I think the mixer layout is much better in Studio One than it is in Cubase. The one in Cubase kind of takes some getting used to. A lot of the grouping features that kind of happen automatically in Studio One are a key command in Cubase, and sometimes they don't always work. Now this next one, I don't see how Cubase does not have. It seems so easy to put that in there, but basically in Studio One, if you hold Shift and Control, you can zoom into your track horizontally. Then if you hold Control, you can zoom into the tracks vertically, so you can make the tracks taller and shorter just by holding Control or Shift and Control. Using the mouse wheel. That's how you do most of your zooming. That's how I do all of my zooming inside of Studio One, and I navigate through the project incredibly fast that way, using a combination of Shift and Control for horizontal, Control for vertical, and then Shift for left and right within the project. Now in Cubase, it does all of that except resizing the tracks vertically. There's no way to change the height of the tracks with the scroll wheel. You have to actually use I think it's like Shift and G and H or something, or you have to use the scroll wheel on the right side of the editor window, and that sucks. Like I said, I'm crazy fast inside of Studio One with those key commands, and without that vertical zooming one, it's kind of difficult at times, but that's kind of a small gripe in the grand scope of things if it's going to help me do things better in other ways. And one more thing that really sucks is that it's just me doing all these songs. When I'm recording vocals, I'm home alone by myself. So I don't have someone to press record when I'm recording on that side of the room. Studio One has an app for your phone that allows you to control your DAW. You can arm tracks, you can record, you can actually use plugins inside of that app. Not third party, but you can use the stock Studio One plugins. It's very, very detailed, and that's how I record all my tracks when I'm not directly in front of my computer. That is an incredibly important part to me tracking, and Cubase has that option, but for iPhone, not for Android. I don't want an iPhone, not gonna buy an iPhone, no thank you. But anyways, that is something that really plays a big part of my recording and my tracking, because I'm home by myself when I'm doing this. I don't have someone to press record. So that I'm still working on trying to get around. I found some apps that allow you to do it via MIDI, but it's just so much easier inside of Studio One. Either way, to wrap it up, like I said, I didn't want to make this a DAW comparison video or something. I'm not saying one is better than the other, but I figured some of you might have noticed that I was using Cubase instead of Studio One, and I felt like I should explain that and let you know why I was using Cubase. If I make a switch, I will let you know. If I decide to use both, I will let you know. But most likely in the future, you might see me going back and forth between the two DAWs, because I'm still trying to give Cubase a very in-depth and honest try before I write it off and say I'm going to stick with S1. So you're probably going to see a mixture of both on the channel. But that's all I got for today, guys. Thank you so much for sitting through me rambling. Make sure to like and subscribe. There are new videos every single week. You don't want to miss content. Ring the bell so you get notified when those videos go up. There's another song coming out this Friday, so be on the look for that. And of course, thank you so much for watching. My name is David, and I will see you next time.